Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Julia.
And this is the Bad Bitch Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. As always, we have a topic. Well, obviously we have a topic, but hopefully,
thank goodness we have a topic.
But hopefully an interesting topic for you,
Yes.
as well as some random moments of pop culture.
Yes.
And probably incoming imminently,
Dog.
a little guest appearance from our lovely co-host. Hi,
This
my
is our today's
darling.
sponsor, Cleo.
Yes. Do you want to talk about the actual sponsor?
Yeah,
Angel?
let's do the sponsor while the dog joins. It's like she can tell that we've started. She can tell we're focused and she has to intervene. Okay. So today we are sponsored once again by the brilliant Addressed Ltd. Addressed is run by Nicci Stanway, who has absolutely decades of experience in property, and she is there to manage your property, whether that's in London or in the south east of England, where we are in Kent. Now, we know if you're a landlord, that can be a real pain in the arse. You've probably got other better things to do. You've probably got a real job that you're doing. And the last thing you want to do is deal with a leak in your property or the ever-changing regulations. It's getting harder and harder to manage property. So what you want is a brilliant person like Nicci, who's just going to take care of everything for you. Like she really will. I mean, she is incredibly organised and on it. Take care of everything. Take all the stress out of it. Keep your tenants happy, which is quite frankly what you want, so you can get on and enjoy your life.
Exactly.
So Addressed.ltd, and any help with your property management or rentals, just talk to Nicci Stanway.
Cleo has now decided that sleeping in her bed is now more interesting than what we've got to say.
Thank goodness.
So, yes, tell me, my darling, what have you been doing in your week?
Oh my goodness, this is going to make you laugh. Do you remember a couple of episodes again when we did the Touching the Dream episode? Which by the way, I really enjoyed that conversation.
Me too. I still always, my primitive brain is always like touching Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my goodness, there was many things. There was also all the Justins in there.
Yeah,
we had a great chat. Go back and listen to it. We enjoyed ourselves.
We did.
And in it, do you remember at the end I said about doing a day of gratitude?
Yes.
That actually, although we're all about goal setting and looking to the future, it is also easy to spend too long thinking about the future. Mm-hmm. And I can do that, or worrying about the future, but either way thinking I'll be happy when.
100%.
Instead of being in gratitude for the day you have, for the life you have exactly as it is. So the other day, I think I was a little bit stressed, and I woke up a little bit stressed, and I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a day of gratitude, which I sometimes do. We try and practice what we preach. Mm-hmm. And so I got up and I was grateful for my bed and my bedroom and all these things. Now, I'm having more work done to the house and the radiators are all being changed. So in this state of gratitude, I came downstairs and my dining room was flooded.
Oh, shit.
Because one of the valves had opened overnight and the whole radiator had emptied in the dining room. Oh. And it wasn't just flooded. I had boxes of things. The boxes were wet.
Oh,
and
no.
You know what? I laughed.
What a day.
I laughed because I thought the universe is having a laugh. Yeah. They're like, we're going to challenge you. Yeah. And in fact, I just had a conversation with a client about this, that it's great to be mindful and meditative and positive and grateful when life's going well. But the real challenge and the real benefit comes from when you learn to do it when it's difficult.
Yes.
Like I used to meditate on the tube, on the London Underground. Which is a very hard place to meditate.
Definitely.
Because it was hard. Mm-hmm. So I got there and there was a little bit of swearing. And then I laughed and I thought, okay, this is a test.
Yes.
So can I be grateful whilst I mop up the messy floor, which is also getting in the way of me getting on with my day and my schedule? And I found tons of things to be grateful for, including that the plumber was coming to fix it, that I can afford to change my radiators, that I've got this house. And so I really put it into practice. But the whole situation made me laugh. And by the time the plumber got here, and he was super apologetic, I just really couldn't care less. I was in a very happy place. Love that. So I did a day of gratitude. It was a little bit testing. And then I went out on a run and I did it. I was grateful for everything. I was grateful for the grass, the sun, my dog. I just said thank you for everything. And it was a really positive experience.
I love that. And actually, I was going to talk about, like, from my week, I had a client and it feeds in nicely to that because she came to me and she wasn't feeling well at all. And we always start off by talking about what's been good, in the similar vein of the gratitude, because it like really helps our brain just acknowledge that there are little tiny pockets of hope, even though I feel like when I say to my clients, well, what's been good? And they want to just scream, fucking nothing, Julia.
Don't ask me that question.
And I looked at her and I could see that she was struggling. So we just took some deep breaths and I was like, right. And she was like, I've just been a failure today. I was like, right, okay. So I was like, are you out of bed? And I was like, yes, okay, you are on the call and in a different area. So yes, you made it out of bed. That's a good thing. Are you dressed? Even if it's like loungewear or something like that.
Did you change out of your pajamas?
Exactly.
Success.
Yes, success. Good job. That's a good thing. And did you log on this call? And I was like, and are the kids fed? And then are they chill?
Is everyone alive?
Yes. No one. What is it? Lovely Sam, the sleep coach, says no. No one's dead. Everyone's dead. Can you imagine? Everyone's fed and no one's dead. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
winning.
It's like if you are struggling with that gratitude, but just like it's like dial it like your expectations down, because I guarantee you are doing a much better job than you think.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in today's topic when we get to it. But that's
exactly.
And so what was the kind of outcome for the client?
She texted me afterwards and she was really low, and she was like, I just feel so much better for chatting with you. And you know what? It just, for me, it was just one of those moments where I was like, I really love what I do.
Yes.
And it's just such a privilege to support awesome women who just don't know they're awesome.
Yeah,
but they are stepping into it.
I think we both have the best jobs in the world,
Definitely.
at least for us. And I'm grateful for my work every single day. It's so fulfilling.
Yes, I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for this podcast.
I'm grateful for you, darling.
Hello. Yeah, grateful for you. Grateful for our lovely little surprise guest.
Yeah, and we're grateful for everyone who listens. And actually, we're grateful for the messaging.
Yes.
I got a message from an old colleague I hadn't spoken to in decades about how much they're enjoying it. So thank you, everybody who's reaching out, because obviously we would actually do this anyway because we just really like talking to each other. We just happen to film it.
Yeah.
But it means a lot to hear what you like, and also to get your feedback or comments or topics you'd like us to cover, because we genuinely want this to be helpful for you. 100%. It's not just you and I hanging out. No. Although that is a major bonus, obviously.
Yes, as much as that would be fun, we want it to actually help you and realise you can easily step into your power. You can do the thing, and we're here to cheerlead you all the way.
100%. Complete shift. Oh,
yes, I was like, that is a good way to segue into validation. But no, we're going to talk about pop culture first.
Don't skip the pop culture.
Yes.
What's been going on?
Okay, so the pop culture topics. One of the things that I wanted, my brain has just gone, da-da, left the building. Right.
Don't look to me for this section, because we know that I know nothing.
Obviously, the first thing I have to highlight is my girl Gillian Anderson, on the back of the success of her Want book about female fantasies, is now writing a second edition called More.
Oh,
and anyone who missed her talking and doing that wonderful experience at the Royal Albert Hall, where she brings out her special surprised guests who are always stellar, she's back again. She's doing an event in September at the Eventium Apollo in London.
So we talked about this on one of our very first episodes about her reading out, or other actors and actresses reading out women's sexual fantasies
that she'd curated anonymously, if anyone wants to submit.
And what's really interesting is I was hanging out with some people who'd listened to the podcast, and it was really interesting, just like you and I were really split on whether that felt like a good thing or not. And I felt like that, for me, that would not be a great experience to sit there and listen to that. And it was really interesting because it seems to be a real Marmite topic, I would say, on the group we were talking to, that some people think it's fantastic. I think it's really empowering. I love the breaking of the taboo, but there were also a good portion of us that were we'd rather poke our eyes out than go and sit through that, basically.
I think it's just really, it's one of those, it's just really, it's because it's not just about the fantasies, it's the way that these women have chosen to express themselves and how beautifully they have written these fantasies. It's not I know I'm not allowed to talk about sex, so I'm not going to go it was darling. And then give you a porn description, but it's the way they so beautifully articulate the whole scene, the emotions. Also how, we talked about moving on and leaving the past behind. Some of these fantasies, sorry, I've got something in my eye. Some of these fantasies have really helped women, we say about that writing out. It's very cathartic for them to write down. Right. It helps them realise things about themselves, things that they've been missing out on. Not even just X-rated stuff. It's the emotions, the connections they've been perhaps missing out on. And it was just a really lovely way to, the way it's written is just beautiful. It's not it's not like watching Pornhub.
Yeah, it's not trying to be provocative or shocking.
Exactly.
But I think you've hit on something really important there. I think it is really important to take time to think about your fantasies and what you want. For me, I think that's important. I'm just not going to write it and send it to Gillian Anderson and have someone read it out in the Albert Hall in front of 1,000 people. But I think the premise of getting in touch with that. And there's an incredible book on this. I've got to try and remember what it's called. That, you know, we've got like the Gary Chapman's 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
Right. There's a sex book that's
Okay.
the version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to try and remember, and I'll give you the link for the show notes.
Love it.
That talks about the different kind of sex preferences or sex personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's called The Sexual Blueprint.
Okay.
I can't remember the lady who's written it, but it's an excellent book. And I think that is a really important thing to connect with. It's, you know, a lot of my work outside of career coaching is about authentic living.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting with your authentic preferences includes your sexual preferences and sexual fantasies. And I do think people can get quite disconnected from that.
Yes.
So I really do think there is value in thinking about that, what that would mean for you. It doesn't necessarily mean it all has to be acted out. It's just even recognising it is really valuable. It's just the public element of it that makes me cringe, basically.
I know, bless you. But it's like, it's very, because she's very, like, because for example, Gillian Anderson has a fantasy in that first book.
Yes.
Her fantasy is in there, and it's always like, I'm sitting there like, which is hers? Because you want to know.
Oh, so you don't know.
But no, it's all anonymous. So she asks the people to write in to put yourself in like an age bracket, a sexual orientation, how you identify, your salary bracket, and if you've got any like religious sort of like preference. It's not the right word, but any religious persuasion. So it will literally, as she reads the fantasy, it will at the end she'll just be like, white, female identifying, not married, single, no children is another thing, not religious, and it will literally be like that. It's not like she's
you can't identify
Emily West of such and such a dress.
That's like that. No, that's literally a nightmare. A nightmare. I'm in the
darling,
Albert
it's
Hall,
not that.
and Gillian Anderson says this is Emily West fantasy. Reads it out to everybody.
I feel like that would be too.
Listen, I'm having a reaction now.
I know
this is too much. Don't do this to me.
It's important to people to feel seen, but I feel like that's seen on a whole nother level.
That's like the dream of appearing naked.
Oh
in
my
front of
gosh!
everyone.
Yeah, that's like your innermost. Yeah, and even you can see me reacting now. Like even that would be and I guarantee she probably had no one submit anything for the book. But yes, she. So yeah, it's all anonymous. It's all you like. You wouldn't even.
So when's
write.
this book coming out?
So the show will be on the 7th of September 2026. So I'd imagine the book will launch around that time as well, which would be very exciting. And then the other bit of pop culture that I just thought would be worth us having a little chat about is at the moment, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but lovely Jo Malone, obviously Jo Malone.
Oh, I've seen about the lawsuit. Yes, is that it?
Yes. So she's got a lawsuit with so from my understanding, she sold Jo Malone London Limited to Estee Lauder 27 years ago. Since then, she's obviously moved on from that. She has run Jo Loves, her perfume brand, for quite a long period of time now. She's been collaborating with Zara without any reference to her name for the past 7 years. But now Estee Lauder have decided that they don't like it and she can't really use her name.
But you're saying she was collaborating without using her name?
Yes. It's just an interesting, it's opened up an interesting topic because it's like Estee Lauder are having, it's really interesting because I find it interesting as well because it's similar like with Karen Millen when she sold her company. She wasn't allowed to collaborate with any other thing where her name was in profile.
Yeah.
Whereas I probably need to check this actually as to whether she's using her name. But Jo Malone's thing is that she's not sold her personal name. It was the company she sold, but Estee Lauder are taking issue.
Yeah, because the name was part of a big part of the brand.
Yeah.
And it is really interesting. But I do think fundamentally if you do sell the brand, and that's your name in it, that you have sold that IP to the other company. And that's what, I imagine, I can't remember, but I imagine they paid a pretty penny for that.
Yes.
So although I can totally understand why you'd say, well, that's my name, I think, yes, you could feel remorse about that, but you did sell it. You did sell it.
Yeah, no, I do tend to agree with you. And it's like, it's the same with Karen Millen. And it's very difficult. But yes, you have, because it's like, from that company's perspective, they don't want to have any kind of sort of grey area that you're still affiliated.
Well, where's the value in where's the value in buying the brand if you can then pop up with your name on something else later? Exactly
that. Don't start a company with your name, kids. I think is the moral of the story. You know.
But then one of the reasons these companies are so successful, particularly like Jo Malone, is people like that it's a person. And often they don't even notice when private equity or Estee Lauder has taken it over. They don't realise the person's gone. So the brand may not have been as valuable if she hadn't started it with her name, is the counter argument to that.
Yes. And it's very interesting as well how we think how times have moved on. Whereas you think about like the major fashion houses, obviously Chanel after Coco Chanel, Versace, Gucci, all of these like major brands, Prada, they've all come like from a big like strong heritage family, you know. But yeah, they don't tend to go out. They tend to stay in that family business, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, a lot of the big brands have been acquired, like LVMH.
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
But it's a different. That is truly a brand versus a person, and the brand, as you said, it might be a family name, but it's not a person. And then they bring the designers in.
Yes, they do.
Whereas, you know, Jo Malone, you're completely branding yourself as a person. Bobbi Brown did the same thing and then had to relaunch her makeup.
Yes.
And although I also think that these big companies can take advantage, it is a bit hard to feel sorry for someone who's sold their business for, you know, tens, if not hundreds of millions of pounds, or sold their name. Yeah. And then, yes, they want to start something new. And yes, that's difficult without your name, but you sold it.
Well, quite. Yes, exactly that. But people are very like supportive of her, which you got she's a great she's done amazing things for the women in business and women.
Yes.
And someone did make a comment. It's like, can you imagine if someone came to Estee Lauder and they were like, you can't, because obviously Estee Lauder.
Yeah, but Estee Lauder didn't sell their name.
No, this is true.
But okay, look at Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift, you know, when you take a record deal, someone else owned her. What's
I'm
wrong?
like, if anyone's like listening to this, I'm like, we're not talking about Taylor Swift because we can't like have all the Taylor Swift fans come down on the podcast.
Wait till I've spoken. Wait till I've spoken. Before you look terrified. Then I thought
I was like,
I'm not going to say anything that controversial. So you look so panicked right now. When you get a record deal, obviously they own all the music, and then she had that argument with the label, and then she re-recorded things. Yes. But in the end, she bought back the rights to her music. Yes. She saved up for money, she worked really hard, and she bought it back.
Yes.
So I'm not on either side of that argument about whether the deal was right or not, but she did go and get it back, and I think that's an amazing thing that she did.
Yeah, for sure.
So if these people want to raise, obviously they're not as wealthy as Taylor Swift, but she's the example of, well, get the money and go and buy it back.
Exactly.
Then. It's possible.
There is a thing called "fuck you" money.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You know, if you've actually heard the story of how she got that deal, it took a really long time, and it wasn't easy to do it. But she did it. I think that's really impressive. So she was like, "Oh, okay, I want to own that music. I'm going to go and buy it back."
Yeah. She made herself so wealthy.
Do you feel better now?
I do, because I was like,
Swifties coming after
I thought
us.
We were going into the whole Scooter Braun and Taylor Swift thing, and I was like, because there's a documentary on it. Again, I'm not versed in Taylor Swift so much. Although, in another pop culture moment, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift have been in London recently and going on numerous dates.
Have they?
Yes,
and everyone loves it, right?
Exactly that.
Yeah,
yes,
very sweet.
And she wasn't at the Met Gala, because I did my key. I know we talked about the Met Gala last week, but she didn't go to the Met Gala. Sarah Jessica Parker over recent years has always been an absent figure. But Joe Alwyn, who is Taylor Swift's ex fiance, was at the Met Gala.
Right, interesting.
But she was in his hometown, creating her own press with Travis Kelce.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Anyway,
well, maybe she's just busy planning her wedding.
Which no one seems to know. Like no one knows anything about it. They've got an idea of the date, which I think is around the 3rd of July, but no one knows anything more than that.
Well, she loves the 4th of July, doesn't she? So that makes sense. But look, we love love. So
how do you know that? Even I didn't know that about Taylor Swift.
Oh, because I'm a Taylor Swift fan.
I love this. I can't wait. We'll have to talk about her then.
Let's talk about today's topic.
Yes.
Before we go off on that whole tangent.
Exactly.
Internal versus external validation. And it's my topic, so I'll give the kind of background about why I want to talk about this. Because when I work with my clients in the world of work, obviously one of the things that comes up a lot is confidence and feedback from your managers and that kind of thing. And one of the things that I see sometimes is out of whack for my clients is how they decide how they feel about themselves. And so this is where we talk about internal versus external validation. So internal validation is you deciding how you feel about yourself. And external validation is you getting validated from other people, which can be feedback, people saying nice things to you.
Yes.
And what I want to talk about today is the balance between that, because some people say, well, you shouldn't need any external validation. I don't agree with that.
No.
But also, if you're overly reliant on it, I want to talk about the impact that has on you and how to build the internal validation. Because if, to be fair, we'll talk about it, you can be out of whack both ways. And it's just a really good structure to understand your sense of self. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up was I had a client this week who I was talking to, and I asked them about their preference about something. And they said, I don't know. I don't know what I want.
Okay.
And I do think sometimes if we're overly concerned about other people's opinions, we start shaping our preferences according to how people are responding to them.
Yeah. Oh, I don't mind what we do. What do you want
Right.
to do?
Because you're trying to fit in, or because you start expressing your preference and you're reading the other person's expression. And if they validate you and respond really well to the thing you say,
They're like green lights.
yeah,
green lights.
exactly. And if you look at them and they look unhappy with what you're saying, you change direction.
Yeah.
And if we talked in our saboteurs, if you're a people pleaser, this gets even worse. And so you can get to the point that you don't know what you want or need, and you don't know how you feel about yourself. And this isn't just one client. I've had lots of clients where I say, well, what do you think about yourself? Or how do you think you're doing in their job? And they don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I thought it'd be a really good topic to talk about, so people themselves can check in and get a balance in how they're being validated.
Nice. I love this. And okay, do you want to talk about, like, just explain what those two things look like to start off with?
Yeah. So first of all, external validation is really simple. It's, we do
look amazing.
But we do that to each other all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you are my biggest cheerleader. Whenever I see you say something lovely, and I love you for it. So external validation is someone saying, you did a great job, you look lovely. It can be feedback at work. It could be a client emailing you saying thank you as an external validation. And so as human beings, we actually need that because it's information.
Yes.
And we're meant to live in a tribe.
Validation of the tribe.
So if you're in the tribe and no one ever says anything nice to you, it's kind of the sign that you're kind of out of the tribe.
Yeah.
And then that hits on survival. So actually, some people say, oh, we shouldn't care what other people think. Actually, we need that for relationships. So external validation is when people say, that's going well, or you're doing a good job, that kind of thing. And sometimes we need that too much because we don't have a strong enough sense of self.
Yeah.
And we don't value ourselves. So our whole sense of self and our self-worth is based on being externally validated. And so we see that in work, where people don't have any confidence unless their boss tells them they're doing a good job. We see that in relationships, where someone constantly needs to be kind of reaffirmed by their partner. Again, all of these things, you need a healthy level of it, but when it's this constant need. And so what happens is, if you don't have enough internal validation, you are too reliant on external validation to give you a sense that you're a good person or you're doing a good thing. And the danger with that is you cannot rely on other people. So I've had a client where they had a boss who validated them all the time, so they felt lovely. And then they got a new boss who never says anything, except if there's a problem. But they didn't even say that very often. They just never say anything. And this person has gone into a crisis because they now think they're bad at their job. Nothing's changed. They're perfectly good at their job. But because they're not getting that external validation and they're too reliant on it. So that's the downside of, if you're just too reliant on that, is that then your kind of mood is really hostage to the external validation. Now, on the flip side, the internal validation is where, and one of the things I really want to get into today is how to internally validate. So we'll come on to that. But the internal validation is you having a strong sense of yourself, you knowing if you've done a good job, you saying, yeah, actually I did a good job, or I messed up, but you decide that. And generally, it's sufficiently positive that even if you go to work and no one says anything nice, or they even say something critical, or even if you are having a bit of a bump with your partner, you still have a strong enough internal validation that you still go, I'm still a good person, or I'm a good friend, or I'm a good colleague. And so you're not crushed by that. Now, that can go too far the other way as well. There are people who overly internally validate. You're laughing at this. We've all worked with them, where you could give them any kind of feedback about how they're not doing well, but they think they're amazing.
Yeah.
And I was actually listening to the Goop podcast, but Cara Swisher was on it recently. And Cara Swisher is an amazing commentator on the tech world. And I've been listening to her for years. And she was talking about the difference actually between men and women asking for promotions and pay rises, and how the women would never ask and she'd have to give them. And she said she had this guy come in asking for a pay rise, and she said, I'm actually thinking about firing you. and he seemed really confused by this. And she said, but we've had lots of performance conversations where I've told you you're not very good at your job. But this guy was internally validating so much that he didn't even hear the feedback
was coming in.
He's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm acing it.
Yeah.
And so he's become detached from reality.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's just great to constantly internally validate and feel good about yourself. It's good to feel good about yourself. But if you do that too much without having any weight to external validation, you actually stop having a realistic sense of how other people perceive you. And we do live in a tribe, and we do need to function. This guy's basically going to lose his job because he's not placed any weight on external validation. So that's where there is a balance in this. And it's the first check-in is, how much do I value other people's opinions of me, and how much do I value my own, and how is the way I behave in both of those areas impacting my life?
Yeah, and if I suppose like maybe a good way to do it to make it sort of real to your brain is you can even make you can give it a percentage. So you could see if the percentage is in balance.
Yes.
For versus like, am I like 60-40, 50-50, 70-30? My maths brain went off.
No, but it changes. I think about when I first started in banking, and I felt like I didn't know anything, which I didn't. And I felt like I was going to get fired every day. And my whole self-worth was based on external validation.
Yeah.
And then there have been points where I've done a lot of self-work in the positive, which has been really good. But I will admit there have been points where I've overly positively internally validated. And I think, I'm just doing all this great work that we'll talk about today about how we build that internal positive self-image. But you can go too far with that, where you're then not giving enough weight to other people's opinions, or even just showing enough consideration to other people's opinions. And sometimes in life, the pendulum swings.
For sure.
Like when you realise you've been so hard on yourself, you can kind of get a bit annoyed about it and swing the other way and just be like, I'm just going to live in this happy bubble where everything I do is amazing.
Yeah.
And you can live there for a bit. But the real world, it sits somewhere in the middle.
That's nice. And then do you think, like, if you are like lower on your internal value in validation, and I think you said valuation, you can tell my old banking world came back out then.
Exactly.
So like if you're lower on your internal validation versus if people are giving you like external validation, is there like weight in saying to yourself, okay, like if I critically assess what these people are saying, is it true? And then can you use that to boost your internal validation? Can you do that?
Yes, I do think there is that kind of integrating what you're hearing. So sometimes I get clients where they're being told they're amazing, but they can't hear it.
Yes.
Or actually, I ran a workshop recently and I said, who here doesn't like receiving positive feedback? And someone put their hand up and said, I hate it.
It makes you feel awkward,
it makes
right?
It's really uncomfortable. But it's like, okay, well, can you integrate some of that? Can you, especially talking through with a coach, I'll say, well, is that true? Why are they saying that? Like, why are they saying that you're great at the job, but you feel like you're not? So I think, and that's where it's kind of looking at evidence.
Yes, exactly.
To back up what you're telling yourself as well. So you're not overly optimistic or overly negative. Let's just look at some of the facts.
Yes.
And one piece of information is the feedback people are giving you.
Yes. And I think it's like you said, it's like your brain loves that real world evidence. And then it's like you can then make your assessment of like, okay, even if you're not like, say they're like praising you to the hilt and you're like, I feel slightly awkward and uncomfortable, maybe you can just even acknowledge it by going like, maybe there's some truth in what they say.
Yes.
I can just open that up and just explore it. Maybe I am sort of good at like doing this thing.
Well, and another thing with clients is sometimes they just say, well, they're just saying that.
Yes.
But that's fine. Look at the evidence. So I'll say, well, okay, forget what they've said. When they need help on that task, who do they come to in the office?
Yes.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did the client wanted a result? Did you get the client the result? Yes.
Yes.
So even if we take out the words,
yes,
look at people's actions. Okay. Sometimes there are people who also don't like giving validation. This is really interesting. People who don't like giving praise. I love telling people when they've done a great job. I think it's such a gift. But some people find that really difficult for other reasons, and it comes back to patterns of behaviour. So you might be like, oh, that person doesn't value me. That person doesn't love me because they're not giving words of affirmation.
Yes.
But look at their actions, okay? You might have a friend and you think, I've been a really good friend, but they're not acknowledging that. Okay, But when you needed them, did they show up for you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or did they, you know, it was your birthday, did they make a fuss of you? Or what is their demeanor around you? And so sometimes it's also, don't necessarily just look for words for validation. I think actions in lots of ways are more valuable.
Yes, exactly. It's like, it's when people are like showing you who they are through their actions, like believe them. And it's like, you can believe them. And I think when it comes to like that internal, I do this really, if you feel like you're low on the internal validation scale, something that I get my clients to play around with is kind of make it a bit funny and a bit cheesy. It's like, you just give yourself like a little, great job, a little tiny thumbs up. Even if you can't go, oh, I did an amazing job and I'm so proud of myself. Even if you just go, good job, and move on. And then like a little cute thumbs up.
Kind of make it small but funny.
Yes.
So I have a couple of things I really want to share on internal validation that I think are really helpful. One of them is, we obviously talk about gratitude practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to write down the things you're grateful for. But when I was struggling with this situation myself and I was being overly critical of myself, every day I wrote down 3 things I did well or I was proud of myself for.
That's a good one.
So instead of it's like, I'm just grateful for my home and my job, it's like 3 things I did well today. And even if the day had not gone well in my eyes, it's like you said, well, I turned up at work and I came home again.
Yes.
Or, okay, I had this difficult conversation, but I didn't cry.
Yes.
Or, you know, I handled this situation better than somebody else might have. This is, you know, we talk about compare and despair. I think sometimes it's quite good to compare yourself to your colleagues.
Yeah.
I have loads of clients who are hard on themselves. And then I say, well, would your colleague have done a better job? And they're like, absolutely not. So you say, well, it's kind of relative. So I did it better than that person would have done that. I did that practice for years until that I really internalized that and realized I was worthy of the senior job that I had and I was doing a good job like that. So the first thing is writing down or journaling, or for people who like talking, you can record your journaling, you can audio journal and transcribe it. But every day recognize 3 things you've done well. But the other thing is, this is a bit of external validation as well, but have your group of friends, the people that you really do trust, get a little WhatsApp group and celebrate your successes on it. So I have a WhatsApp group with a couple of my friends, and we share when we do something awesome, where we might be embarrassed to share it with other people, or we might feel a bit needy.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you feel needy, you want to tell someone something's gone well, and you feel needy even saying it, but also you're not guaranteed a positive response. They might think it's great, they might not. And is there anything worse than feeling like you've achieved something and then telling someone and then them not seeming remotely impressed by it, right?
Yeah.
So we've got this little core group, the circle of trust of people who, if I message them and say I've done something, oh my God, they're like absolute cheerleaders and they're all over it and they're like, wow, that's amazing. It's like a guaranteed WhatsApp validation group. So set that up with people who you can really trust. And I wouldn't recommend doing it with your partner.
No.
Because they might be your biggest cheerleader, which they should be, but they also might have had a bad day at work.
Yeah.
So you need your friends, your fellow bad bitches, and get that little validation group going. And then you might just say what you've done and then let them tell you how great it is.
Exactly. And that's really, really great. I do something that I call 10 fingers, 10 things. It sounds really perverse when I say it out loud.
That sounds a bit wrong.
But on the similar way of like with the 3, writing down the 3 things you did well, I will get into bed, and even if I've had a poo day, I will literally, because I have obviously 10 fingers, I will literally lie in bed. It's great in terms of habit stacking because it's what I have to do at the end of the day. And I will open up my hands and I'll be like, right, 10 things that you've done okay at today. Right. Or think 10 things to move you forward, like 10 things that you've done well. And I will just count them off, even if they're tiny. Like I can't think of anything.
I got dressed,
exactly.
Basic.
Yes,
exactly. What do we talk about? Like everyone's fed, no one's dead.
Exactly.
All these things. Yeah.
It's like because it's just because in terms of that validation and even that comparison piece, like your reality is very different from anyone else's. It's different. Your experience and your life experience and what led you to this point is different from anyone else's. So what is a success to you at this moment in time is a success to you. Yes. And that's perfect and that's fine. So take your wins that mean something to you. Don't be worrying about what everyone else is doing on Instagram and winning Nobel Prizes and all that sort of thing. This is your reality, and you can, and actually, if you feel like you want to sort of step forward, acknowledging the stuff you've done well and not beating yourself up, giving yourself some internal validation is the quickest way to move forward.
You just reminded me saying that actually about often when we think of people who have achieved greatness,
Yeah.
you know, who have been the best at something, or we think of pop stars or sports people who've achieved that top level, a lot of them will talk about the fact that they kept going for that thing, and that all of that is external validation, because it's like the crowd adores you, or you win the sport, you know, you're top of a league table, you're being recognized, you're getting a gold medal, and you're getting rewarded for it. That they hit the top thing, they get the top thing, and they go into crushing depression.
I hear this a lot.
Because their entire sense of self has come from external validation.
Yeah.
And that's the danger. And yes, there are people listening here who aren't going to be Olympians, right? But actually thinking about, okay, you living your life, if you got the house you've got and the job you've got because your parents have told you, aren't you lucky? Isn't that how you should live your life? And people have told you, oh, you're really lucky to be in that relationship with that person, or aren't you lucky to have that job? I mean, when I left my job in banking, quite a few people lost their minds.
Yeah.
Really did. And some people who didn't even know me that well had quite negative reactions. Lots of people came up to me and said, I wish I could do what you're doing. I'm like, I wish I was brave enough. And I thought,
you can.
Everyone can. But
that's no shade to, I'm like, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone can do that. But there were also lots of people that it really triggered them.
Yeah.
Because to them, the success I was achieving was like really impressive. And it was also what everyone tells you should want. Everyone tells you should want the impressive job title, the big salary, the certain kind of house, a certain kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, but because I'd done a lot of internal validation, I was able to walk away from that. But a lot of people could not understand how I could walk away from that. And everyone telling you, people telling you your life is perfect. People telling you, oh, that like everything's amazing. And so there are people, I think, who are living their entire lives through what's been externally validated. They're choosing things because people have told them they're lucky to have that, or that's how they should be. And again, if you're struggling with that, that's why I've written a coaching book, Maximum You, that you can just ask yourself those questions that help you start to separate out, am I doing this because it's really meaningful and fulfilling to me? Or am I doing it just because people keep validating these decisions and these steps I'm taking? But actually, if you step back, is this really what I want? Is this really what makes me happy? And when you've done a lot of internal validation work, you're able to make those decisions, and people will say, that's really brave. It didn't feel brave to me. It felt like the only choice was to do the thing that was right for me in that moment.
I love that. Okay. And so people that have struggled like a bit with, if they're struggling just with internal validation, we've got 3 things, writing down your 3 things, or your 10 fingers, 10 things, your WhatsApp hype group, which I love.
Yes, yeah.
What else can we do to start, like what are the little things that we can start to do to build internal validation?
I do think also, it's not just mindset work. I do think sometimes building skills.
Yeah.
So saying, okay, like with clients, they might lack confidence in an area, and we'll talk about the mindset work, but I'll also say, okay, what can you go away and learn? Like a client of mine had to have a new type of conversation as he's gotten more senior. And I said, well, what information could you gather that would make you comfortable? What would be the quickest, easiest way for you to gather that information? And go and build the skill, and then go and use the skill, and your brain sees you applying the knowledge, sees you being good at the thing, and that builds that internal validation.
Nice.
So I do think there's also just applying yourself as a way of doing it. Do you ever, in your work with visualizations and hypnotherapy, do you ever do anything that can help people, again, build that stronger internal validation?
Yeah, absolutely. So like some of the when we do the relaxation, we will refer back to all the things that you've done. It will be like call to mind something that you were really proud of, or we can go down a corridor where you can see like pictures of people and places, all the experience you've done, the things where you stepped out your comfort zone. And also we do a lot of work as well, reminding people of like those things. And people, there's one that we call, which is about self-recognition, where we talk about how life is like setting out on a journey. It works really well if someone is very likes things just so and organized, because it will go, life is just like setting out on a journey, knowing that all arrangements have been attended to, your passports are packed, tickets are in the right place, your suitcases are done. And it's just, and you know that you can and will complete your journey easily without effort.
Yes.
And it's the same in life, because you can and you will do these things. And it's just, and it's giving the client time and space to just remember, because we're very always forward focused, you know. It's like we can get in this space where we're always like, what have I got to create in the future, or what have I done, what could I have done better in the past? But to have space just to think, do you know what, I've done a good job up until now really helps client recognize what they've done and what they're capable of going forward, that it bolsters their internal validation.
Well, and I always love Anthony Robbins' comment on, you know, we overestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 10. And I think, to your point, go back and look at what you've done in the last 10 years. I mean, when I look at what I've done in the last 10 years, I actually can't believe it, because there's so many changes and so many things that I've done. And then jump forward 10 years and say, okay, in 10 years' time, when I look back at this decade, what would I have done that would make me proud?
Yeah.
Because another way to internally validate is work that out and then go and do those things.
Yeah.
And then you will, at the end of the 10 years, you'll go back and go, wow, I'm really proud of that work I did, or that I made myself vulnerable in that relationship, or that I showed up as a really good friend, or, you know, a lot of people I work with are dealing with the challenge of elderly parents. I was grateful that I took the time to be there for them.
Yes.
But jump forward to look back and say, what would I be really happy to have done?
Yeah.
And then do those things. And that builds that internal validation and that internal sense of self and contribution that's really genuine.
Love that. Anything else?
No, I think that's a perfect place to end.
I think so too. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, my lovelies. If, again, as always, if you've got any questions, if you want to know anything or any topics you want us to talk about, please do reach out. And similarly, if you feel like there's anyone you know that will benefit from hearing about this topic, someone that is awesome and clearly needs to maybe realise that they're awesome, please share this episode with them. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon.